The Instagram's darling, the most popular van model on social media, the Sprinter van, seem to be everywhere. But I advise you to stay away from the Sprinter for 5 specific reasons. And at the end of this video, I will give you a couple great alternatives to buy instead if you are considering a van life. Sprinters are way too big. Adventures can take you down to some seriously tight roads and very small parking spaces. Sprinters are massive. They're wide, they're long, they're tall. They're not as maneuverable as well. And if your trips go through big cities like LA, for instance, you'll be quickly disappointed and frustrated finding parking anywhere in the city. My van is 1989 Dodge Explorer. It's less than 19 foot long and it's not as tall or wide. It is perfect for what it is. I've stayed in big cities like San Diego, Las Vegas, LA, Salt Lake City, and Phoenix. I haven't had problems fitting at the parking spot where the regular car would fit. The fourth reason is Sprinters are known for having a rust problem. Rust is any automobile's cancer. Once it starts, it's very hard to stop it. Sprinters have this very bad reputation for rusting out around the wheel wells, the floors, and then the undercarriage. If you're purchasing a used Sprinter, you gotta be extra cautious. And if the Sprinter you're looking at has a very low price tag, I would be suspicious. The third reason is Sprinters are not that good for stealth camping. Unfortunately, the secret is out for Sprinters. Everyone knows that people are living in these vans, and this makes the stealth camping in Sprinter vans nearly impossible. You know, on Instagram you see these beautiful shots where the van is out in the wilderness, doors are open, there's beautiful mountains in the background, or it's next to the lake and there's no one around it, there's no car parked next to it. Well, that's almost not real. Often you have to be really sneaky about the places you're going to stay at. And if you're in a Sprinter, that makes it much harder. Unless you find yourself confined to public BLM land. BLM stands for Bureau of Land Management, where you can stay up to 14 days in public lands, or just Walmart and Planet Fitness. The second reason is Sprinters are very expensive to maintain. It's the Mercedes after all, so you're gonna pay Mercedes prices for repairs and all the upkeep you make into your van. For instance, let's take an extreme example. If the engine failed in my van, let's say in a Sprinter van, to buy a used engine for my van will cost 5 to 8 times cheaper than it would cost for this Sprinter van. And now also consider the availability of parts. Parts for my van, even though it's so old, still I can find these parts anywhere in the country at any junkyard, and it's gonna cost me penny on the dollars compared to Sprinter van parts. And the reason number one why you should not consider Sprinter vans, simply because they are expensive. Really expensive, like terribly expensive. I think the post-pandemic hype for these vans are still here. I just don't get why would you pay $80, $90, $100,000+ for one of these vans. I paid $5,500 for my van and put another $4,000 to make some improvements, and now voila, I have the most unique and the cutest van at every campsite. That is the main reason why I don't want to buy a Sprinter van. Literally everywhere you go, you're gonna see Sprinter vans. Everywhere I show up in my Betty Blue, it's immediately a piece of conversation. But in all seriousness, obviously I'm just hating on Sprinters.
You haters have nothing on me!
Sprinters are actually very cool, and they have some great benefits that you should consider. For instance, they have a lot of headroom. I'm 6'3". Unfortunately, I cannot stand in my van. My van is about 6'1". Any Sprinters I step in, I stand up, no problem. They have better gas mileage, especially compared to my van. My van gets about 10 to 12 miles per gallon, so it's pretty horrible. Sprinters are very easy to convert. Because of the square shape, the do-it-yourself conversions are pretty easy, and that's why they're so popular among these bloggers. And one more benefit is the ability to lift. If you didn't purchase your van 4-wheel drive from the factory, you can easily convert a 2-wheel drive version into a 4-wheel drive version, and it's not gonna cost you that much. I have about 3, maybe 4 flies in my van here in Arizona. I'm camping currently, and I can't let them out of my van. Very annoying. Anyway, nonetheless, these benefits are still not the reason why you should buy a Sprinter van. Here are some great alternatives to consider if you are considering a van life. The first one is Chevy G20 High Top. These are all-around great vans, very reliable, easy to maintain, have really reliable engines in them as well. The second one is similar to my Dodge Ram vans. They're also very reliable, easy to maintain, not as big, not as huge. And the third one is Ford Econoline High Top. Also very robust and reliable van. I would highly advise you to not spend so much money on buying a Sprinter van because you might just not like a van life so much and you spend so much money buying a Sprinter. I would highly advise to look into these 3 vans if you're considering a van life. If you want to see the full video tour of my van, check out this video here. I'll see you in the next one.